Have you ever wondered what really happens to brave Viking warriors after death? If the first thing that comes to mind is Valhalla, with its eternal feasts and endless battles, get ready to discover that the truth may be far more complex and fascinating than it seems. Today, we're diving into Viking beliefs about what happens after the final battle. Did all warriors go straight to Odin's Great Hall? Stick with me until the end to uncover the secrets behind the various Viking beliefs about the afterlife and why these stories continue to inspire and captivate the modern world. After all, what does Valhalla truly represent, and how does it connect to our own understanding of courage and immortality? In Norse mythology, Valhalla is described as the magnificent Hall of Odin, located in Asgard, where warriors fallen in battle, known as the Einherjar, are welcome to live a glorious and eternal life. There, the ceiling is made of golden shields, and spears form its beams, a majestic place worthy of legendary heroes. But did all Vikings expect this grand fate? Not exactly. For the Vikings, death was inevitable, but what truly mattered was how one faced it. Viking life revolved around honor, bravery, and sacrifice, especially in times of war. Only the bravest warriors, those who displayed unshakable courage and died with sword in hand on the battlefield, were chosen for a special destiny. And who made this selection? The Valkyries, mystical, powerful figures, servants of Odin, who rode across the battlefields, choosing those worthy of being taken to Valhalla. A famous example is the poem Eiriksmal, which recounts the arrival of Eric the Red in Valhalla after his death. Upon arrival, he is received with great honor by Odin and the heroes Sigmund and Sinfjotli. These warriors not only entered the Great Hall but were greeted as mighty heroes, ready to train and feast until Ragnarok. This tale reflects the value Vikings placed on bravery in battle. These different views of the afterlife show that, for the Vikings, life after death was as varied as their lives on land. The grandeur of Valhalla, with its eternal battles and glorious feasts, was reserved for the noblest warriors, while others who did not fall in combat followed more serene or less glorious paths. But could these alternative destinies, like hell, also be seen as forms of honor? Norse mythology reveals a deep belief in the power of fate, honor, and courage. Each soul had its place, but only the bravest could have the honor of fighting alongside the gods at the end of the world. Not all Vikings aspired to go to Valhalla. In fact, many believed that, after death, they would go to other destinations, one of which was Hell, the shadowy realm governed by Hela, Loki's daughter. Hell was the destination for those who died of illness, old age, or other natural causes, which included most common people. Unlike the Christian concept of heaven and hell, Hell was not a place of eternal torment or punishment. Instead, it was a tranquil, cold realm distant from the glories of Valhalla's battles, where souls led a quieter, simpler existence. Helheim, as the realm of Hell was also called, was described as a place of mist and shadows where the dead continued their lives in a modest way. Though it lacked the endless feasts and celebrations of Valhalla, Helheim offered a kind of peace after death. There was no glory, but there was also no suffering. For many, this was a serene acceptance of fate. After all, not everyone was born to be a great warrior, but that did not make their lives any less worthy. Helheim provided rest, a tranquil end for those who had lived far from the battlefield. An interesting example is the story of Balder, the beloved god of light. After his death, caused by one of Loki's schemes, Balder went to Helheim, not Valhalla. The gods tried to rescue him, but Hela, firm in her role, refused to release him. This event emphasizes the rigidity of fate in Norse mythology. Even a divine figure of great importance was not automatically destined for Valhalla, showing that the afterlife followed unchangeable laws, governed by the very nature of the end. Besides Helheim, another possible destination was Folkvangr, the domain of the goddess Freya. Freya, one of the most important deities in Norse mythology, associated with war, love, and fertility, had the right to choose half of the warriors who died in battle. While Odin took the other warriors to Valhalla, Freya received hers in the vast field of Folkvangr. Little is known about Folkvangr compared to Valhalla, but myths tell us that, like Odin's Einherjar, the warriors who went to Folkvangr were also honored for their bravery and courage. Freya, being a goddess of war and love, offered a complementary vision for the destiny of warriors. The duality between Valhalla and Folkvangr reflects the balance between the deities Odin and Freya. Valhalla, with its daily battles and eternal feasts, represented the peak of warrior glory. Folkvangr, under Freya's care, was less detailed in the myths but symbolized another form of honor and recognition for those who died in combat. Freya, also associated with love and fertility, might have offered warriors a gentler vision of peace, a reward that extended beyond battles. These different views of the afterlife show that Viking culture was complex and varied in its beliefs. Although Valhalla was the idealized destination for many, both Folkvanger and Helheim held significant places in Norse cosmology. Helheim was the destination for those who led a common, peaceful life, while Valhalla and Folkvanger represented eternal glory for the bravest warriors. All these destinations reflect the diversity of Viking cultural values, where courage was exalted, but daily life and rest after a simple life also had their place. In Norse mythology, the Valkyries are mysterious, powerful figures full of symbolism. Described as warrior women of striking beauty, they rode through the skies and battlefields, determined to choose the bravest warriors who perished in combat. The Valkyries had a dual role. In addition to being chosen to guide the souls of the dead to Valhalla, they also served as Odin's attendants, offering mead to the Einherjar during the feasts in the Great Hall. These divine women were not merely messengers of death, but also guardians of honor and bravery. Their presence in Norse stories reinforced the link between fate, combat, and the afterlife. But the Valkyries were more than emissaries of death. In some myths, they wielded weapons and fought alongside the warriors, emphasizing their role not only as guides, but also as active participants on the battlefield. A famous tale involving a Valkyrie is that of Brynhildr, who disobeyed Odin's command in a battle and was severely punished. As punishment, Odin placed her in a magical sleep, surrounded by a wall of flames, until she could be awakened by a mortal hero worthy of her hand. Sigurd, the hero of the Volsung cycle, was the one who finally crossed the flames and awakened Brynhildr. This story illustrates not only the power of the Valkyries, but also their vulnerability to divine orders, making them complex and multifaceted characters within Norse mythology. Brynhildr was a figure of strength and tragedy, both feared and admired. This duality is what makes the Valkyries so fascinating. Were they entirely free beings, or were they bound to the wills of the gods? With their powers to influence the fate of battles and choose who would be taken to Valhalla, they embodied the concept of Wyrt, the inevitable fate, where death in combat was often decided before a sword was even raised. While the Valkyries acted as intermediaries between warriors and the Great Hall, Odin, their master, observed from Asgard. Always seeking more than mere victory in combat, he sought knowledge and control over fate. Odin, the supreme god of the Aesir, was known as the god of war, wisdom, and poetry. His relentless pursuit of wisdom is one of the most iconic stories in Norse mythology. He sacrificed one of his eyes at Mimir's well, the guardian of deep wisdom, to gain visions of the future. Additionally, Odin underwent a sacrificial ritual, hanging himself upside down on Yggdrasil, the world tree, for 9 days and 9 nights, without food or drink, to finally obtain the runes, magical symbols that revealed the secrets of the universe and fate. Odin's unceasing quest for power and wisdom is also intrinsically linked to the creation of Valhalla. The Great Hall of Warriors was not merely a place of endless feasts and daily fights. It was an extension of Odin's desire to gather the bravest and most skilled warriors for the final battle at Ragnarok. He knew that the fate of the gods and the world was sealed and that the inevitable end was approaching. Therefore, Valhalla was his training ground, where the Einherjar fought and prepared day after day for the moment they would be summoned to face the forces of chaos. Odin was both a spiritual and military leader, and Valhalla represented his vision of a divine order where wisdom and physical strength were combined. Warriors who died honorably were rewarded not only with eternal life, but with the opportunity to fight alongside Odin against the monstrous creatures that would emerge at Ragnarok. This concept of posthumous glory shaped Viking culture, where death in battle was seen as the pinnacle of an honorable life, and where the final fight in Valhalla was a metaphor for the ongoing battle that Vikings faced in their own lives. Thus, the Valkyries and Odin were not merely mythological figures but symbolic representations of the most important values in Viking society: honor, courage, and the relentless pursuit of wisdom, even if it required personal sacrifice. The idea of Valhalla as a place of eternal glory and preparation for Ragnarok resonated in the lives of the Vikings, who saw battle as a way to achieve immortality through sacrifice and bravery. Just as Odin sacrificed his eye in the pursuit of wisdom, Vikings were willing to sacrifice their lives in the name of honor, hoping to attain eternal glory. Beliefs in Valhalla, hell, and other aspects of the afterlife directly influenced how the Vikings lived their lives. Warriors aspiring to Valhalla knew they needed to prove themselves worthy in battle, fueling the warrior culture of Norse society. The expectation of a glorious life after death instilled a sense of purpose and courage, both in exploration and in conquest. For the Vikings, the afterlife was not a matter of blind faith, but an extension of their cultural values. Honor, bravery, and the desire to face fate without fear were ideals that shaped their society. This mentality is also reflected in the sagas and legends that have survived over time, making the Vikings eternally fascinating to modern culture. The modern fascination with Valhalla goes beyond its literal meaning. In pop culture, films, series, and even video games, Valhalla has become a symbol of immortality through strength and struggle. But what truly resonates with people today is the idea that, in an uncertain world, we can still find meaning through our own code of honor and bravery, even if we don't have a Valkyrie waiting for us at the end. Throughout this video, we explored how Valhalla was not only a glorious destination for the dead, but also a profound symbol of Viking culture. It represented the pinnacle of honor, bravery, and sacrifice, reserved only for those who showed courage on the battlefield and were chosen by Odin and his Valkyries. More than just a place of feasts and eternal battles, Valhalla reflected the Viking belief that immortality was earned through struggle and sacrifice. But now that you know the true story of Valhalla, what surprised you most about these beliefs? Could it be that the Vikings had a more complex view of life and death than we imagined? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear your opinion. And, of course, if you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, share with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more fascinating stories of Norse mythology and Viking culture. And stay tuned. In the next video, we'll dive into an intriguing question. How can ancient Viking wisdom teach us valuable lessons about the pursuit of true happiness? You won't want to miss it. Until then, may the gods guide you with courage and wisdom.